hit record. All right. All right, so things are a little different now. This is the Outrage show for, I guess, Wednesday. What's that day going to be? Wednesday, the 18th. And so also, if you're probably watching this on demand as well, because I'm going to be posting this to YouTube on Friday the 20th. And I'm joined here by Skylar Johnson of Judason Void.
It's actually Judason, but thank you.
I'm so sorry. I've been pronouncing it this whole time. Thank you so much for correcting me, though.
It's all good.
Oh, man. So, how are you doing today?
I'm not bad. It's beautiful outside. I came to my sister's place to use her computer to do this, though we're using the phones anyway, so it's all good. It's an excuse to see her. It's an excuse to be out. It's been good. It's been real good.
It's good to hear. I was going to ask because, like, you know, we're all the way out here in Hot Springs, and it's been either hot and humid or it's been freezing. In fact, that's how it's been all day today. Like, I took my brother. Do what?
I was just going to say, a few weeks ago, it just randomly decided to be like 30 degrees and raining for like a week straight, so that was rough. But the sun's actually out. It's pretty nice right now.
Perfect day for an interview, right?
Yes, of course.
All right, so Judason Void, like I've got plenty of questions. Like they were brought to my attention by a friend of mine named Carla Hernandez. Shout out to her if she's listening when we post this.
Hi, Carla.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She actually saw you guys at house show.
Yeah, I think it was my friend Heaven's place with Pedal Weather and Hold. Hold's a super good band from Little Rock too. It was super good. I'm pretty sure that's the one. I've thought about this. We've talked about this before.
Yeah, because I remember she posted something on her Instagram story about you guys, like, pretty recently, but, like, it was last year, about, I want to say October, November, you know, she was like,
it was probably around right now, actually.
Yeah, pretty much. And then she was like,
the start of that little run was yesterday, so I actually think that show was a year ago today, which is really strange. But
I mean, hey, we're here now. I don't think you'd be on the show if it wasn't for then. So I'm certainly glad for it. I just feel I'm lamenting the fact that I missed it.
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
I mean, from what I've heard, and like she even sent me videos of, like, you know, you guys playing, and she was like, you've got to check these guys out.
Oh.
And so, like, when I heard it, I was like, you know, because I want to discover more, like, Arkansas music. Like, I know Harry from Bonsai Florist, and like, I've met people from Ghost Bones. I know Sonny K, who kind of runs low key around here. And so, like, that was I know a little bit, but I don't know a whole lot, and I want to know more. And so, you know, part of my show is I want to, like, give a spotlight to cool artists and whatnot, and your band being one of them. So actually my first question is going to be, like, what was the story behind the name?
It's kind of this convoluted thing I came up with after listening to a bunch of Alan Watts seminars. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's super great.
I love his stuff.
Good. Yeah. I don't know. I thought about a lot of the things he said a lot, and I somehow came up with that. Also, like, my last name's Johnson, so, like, in the older days, it would be, like, son of John, so, like, son of Judas, and, like, Void, and, like, I don't know. It kind of has this whole, like, yin and yang kind of aspect to it. I don't know. It means a lot. It also means nothing. It's something that not a lot of people get right, so I kind of wish I didn't come up with that, but here we are. So
I was about to say, well, now is a great time to set the record straight. And, like, thank you for correcting me. I'm so glad I can finally. It makes sense now that you've told me, like, how it's pronounced, and then also, like, explain the name a little bit, because I never would have put two and two together that it was supposed to be the son of Judas. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't. I wouldn't really say it's like a religious thing. It's just kind of just something I came up with. Listening to a lot of Alan Watts. I like a lot of things like that. I don't know.
And I feel like that, well, Alan Watts to me is a good, like, let me segue it into a friend of mine's band, because what he used to do, and it was play kind of a post-rocky sound. It was blue screen Skyline. And what he would do during his live shows is he'd play clips of like Alan Watts speeches, and then like to match with these kind of like heavy guitars. And so like now that I put all of this together, that I just
super into whatever that guy's doing. That sounds awesome.
Man, dude, you would love Paul. So you're gonna come down to the Springs at some point. We'll get to that later on in the interview because like I've got some questions regarding like shows and whatnot. So yeah. I actually was wondering, like, what was the what made you come up with the concept behind it? So, like, with your sound and whatnot. And I saw that, like, it in your bio for, like, your artist bio on Spotify and on Bandcamp, it says, like, you're the brainchild. And, like, looking at, like, even more recent stuff where you talked about who's recording what, like, this time, I think for this upcoming album, it was you and a drummer. And then before you had a bigger cast. So, like, what was the concept behind that? Like, I know Swans does something pretty similar.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a concept. It's just I've been kind of hustling the idea of this and just making music under this brand or umbrella, for lack of a better word, for about 5 or 6 years or so. At one point in time, I moved away to try and like pursue it a little bit more, and that didn't go so hot. But I came back and just met up with some old friends, and like the first real like I guess era, for lack of a better word, that kind of took off was with some of my like really good friends that I played with in high school. The majority of them are in a band called Bones of the Earth. Shout out to Bones of the Earth. They're probably one of the best heavier bands around here. And then also I had my friend David also from high school who played sax and keys and backing vocals. He's an amazing musician. So I mean, I just write songs kind of under this umbrella, and I've been super fortunate to have some like really close friends of mine help me out, and just collaborate. But like you said, this album is with my good friend Chase. He's actually the singer and guitar player and general songwriter for Claw Marks American, and another phenomenal band around here. I don't know. I've just been really lucky to make music with all my friends, honestly. So
that's really lucky. Like I could barely get, I'm in a band too, but we don't have anything recorded. So, it's been hard, especially since we kind of started post-pandemic, so I can only imagine like, I've got some questions regarding that and we'll get to it later, but I've got a whole list over here of just brainstorming, and I was like, I hope most of these don't sound too stupid, but actually that leads to my next one, especially seeing your I Hate God shirt, which is a great band. I really wish I could see them. Like, what bands kind of influenced you to go in the direction that Judason Void has?
If you're talking about the last record, which I think some would say is a little bit more like shoegazy. Firstly, I'm just a sucker for a good sad song, but I super love like Radiohead and Slowdive, and As Cities Burn was a big one for me. That's kind of like where I started like paying attention to like what does a delay pedal do and things like that. Stuff like that. I like a lot of indie rock stuff. I like Oasis, and I also like listen to a lot of older stuff. Anyway, we don't need to get into that, but
no, I really like, I like that though. Like, I can kind of hear influences, especially like with, the massive guitars in the mix, you can hear that kind of slow dive. One band that I was going to like compare it to, but I didn't know if I'm sure you've listened to them before, is Explosions in the Sky.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with them. I personally like instrumental music is a hard sell for me. I don't know. I just need some like good like human spirit in there. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get that completely. Yeah.
I do love Explosions in the Sky, and I definitely see the resemblance. That nice building, long, indulgent songs kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, like, your songs aren't like, they're not explosions of the sky length, and I appreciate that.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know, because like, I think your EP would be a triple LP if we were going by your short first album would have like really exploded in length in the sky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but
Totally.
like I really liked it though. So one more question before I start asking you about the first album. As a matter of fact, so how's the scene in Fayetteville? I've been up to Fayetteville one time, and I've not caught any shows. Like how is the scene about like around there, and how does it compare to like the rest of Arkansas?
I love Fayetteville. I might be a little biased. I've been there since I turned 21, and I don't know. It just has a good vibe and a good spirit. And the scene, I mean, it's we're in a pandemic, so it's kind of
Yeah,
non-existent right now. But up until that point, seemed like there was a good show at George's Smoking Barrel Backspace or somebody's house almost every week. It was super rad, and it was really picking back up. I feel like the scene died down. We had the music hall and all that back in the day, and that was awesome. But like I don't know, it was really starting to come back around, and then the pandemic hit. So I don't know. Does that answer your question?
it does. It does a lot. I like all of my friends that live in Fayetteville. They try to get me up there to go to shows, but all they do is like they like going to raves, and so it's not.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not really my kind of music. You know, I prefer to like go to like some of these venues we were talking about. Now I know about them, so when things become eventually, hopefully, safe enough for you know shows to return, I'd love to go stop by. Um, all right, so that first album, like my first experience with you guys, you know, you've told me a little bit of like some influences going into that album, and like how was life? Like, what influenced you in your life to kind of go in this direction, if you don't mind me asking?
well, that album was more or less like a memoriam for my little brother who passed away to suicide, unfortunately.
I'm
So
sorry to hear that.
that, that's okay. Thank you. But it was just that was kind of that's what the album cover is. It's him and I on Halloween, like I think in 2001, and I don't know. There's all kinds of little Easter eggs and like small little like inside things about my life and about him and I and about my family throughout that record. So that's largely what it's for. It was kind of a coping mechanism for me. It was some songs that meant a lot to me that I held on to and was able to put down with, like I said, like with some really good friends. So that was the first one.
Well, I mean, like it does sound very personal from like my listens to it. I've probably listened to it like 7 or 8 times now. I really
Yeah.
do enjoy this album.
Thank you.
And
I don't think they're ever not going to be super personal, to be honest.
well, I mean that's good. Like I don't know. I think I've had enough of like vapid music about nothing, and I like personal stories. I like human stories. Uh,
Oh yeah.
as a filmmaker too. Like even movies, like I prefer them when they're deeply personal to the writer and the filmmaker. And same goes with music. Like you can tell it's a sense of genuinity. I guess is the word I'm looking for that you just don't get when somebody just kind of doesn't make something that isn't like personal. Um,
Right.
were there any challenges that you had to encounter with like the recording of this first album, especially since it's pre-pandemic? So, like what were some of like the things that went
Well,
into it?
first of all, I'd have to say it probably took me about 5 years to get that record done. I was hanging on to this idea of like what this band should be and sound like and all of that, and I wasn't really gaining a lot of momentum around here. And like I said, I ended up moving away. I went to Oregon to try to like do this, and that didn't work out either. So once I moved back, I started working with my friend Rafe. We still work together. And he just randomly decided he was gonna take out a personal loan and start recording. Like the first album he
Crazy.
recorded was the first Bones of the Earth record, and then he recorded us, and that's how it turned out. I ended up doing this record with him too, and like he's grown so much. Like I mean, as a person, as a musician, but also as like a producer, and it was so much fun. He's awesome, and anyway, I mean, once he got a hold of it, we pretty much just hung out in this room and made it happen. It was pretty easy going. It was a lot of fun, actually. So I mean, there wasn't too much trouble making it happen once it was happening. It just took a long time to get it there for me.
Mhm. So you mentioned that part of like was it the writing aspect more in your room, or was it like how much was recorded in a studio? If you don't mind me asking.
What do you mean?
Okay, so like I'm more familiar with like home recording situations, and so like
Hmm.
seeing some of your pictures on Instagram that looks to be like a more formal rehearsal space and whatnot, which I don't know, I always think is really cool. I really like it when artists post like their setup kind of behind the scenes and recording. So like, did you
Cool.
record any like at home or anything like that, or is it all just kind of in this space?
Well, so there's a little spot. I don't know if I should be giving it away, but it's in Fayetteville where um you can rent out rehearsal spaces and stuff. And when I was jamming with them, we all had a space there, and we recorded the first album there. And my friend Rafe has since got two of the rooms, and so he's been recording there. And it's kind of like it's. I mean, I would say he's got it pretty legit now. Like it's not a home space, but it's definitely a pretty legitimate recording space. I think it's great. So yeah, that's
I mean,
it pretty much.
that's cool though. That's cool though. Like pretty much with like my experience with like trying to record, rehearse. I've recorded in my bedroom, which is not this one. I had another room. It was like in the garage. And then like I've recorded in an actual garage that doesn't have like a room set up, which was super inconvenient. And then I've like rehearsed in somebody's living room. And so like believe me, like I understand those places are hard to come by. So it's I think it's cool. Let's see.
Oh man, it's so great. And I've definitely had my fair share of household recording encounters and stuff for sure. I don't know. I'm just really fortunate. I got some good friends that are trying to do some cool stuff. I've been able to be a part of it.
Oh, that's fantastic though. Like I don't know, but I think for me the worst part, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is like when you're playing in someone's house, like and it's in the middle of the day. Like sometimes you get too loud and somebody has to come out and tell you to turn things down.
Oh yeah, I've had the cops call on me plenty of times back in the day for that.
All right, so actually, this is more of like specific to one instrument, especially since you said like this album is very shoegaze influence.
Mm.
What was the concept or the idea behind bringing in a saxophone? I've never heard a saxophone in a shoegaze song before. I love it. I wish we had more of it. But I was just like, when I first heard it, I was like, "What the hell is this?" I was blown away. I was like, "Wow, this is cool."
We got saxophone because I love my friend David who plays saxophone, and I really wanted to play in a band with him. That's why.
Oh no, that's great. I mean, like, I love it even more so that it wasn't like some grand, like, written out scheme. It was just kind of like, dude, come play with us.
Pretty much, man. I just fucking love that guy and like really wanted to play with him. I mean, he played keyboards and he did backing vocals as well. Like, he's just an awesome guy. I really wanted to make sure it wasn't perceived as like a gimmick. Like, I wanted it to be like an actual integral part of the band and the music, which like wasn't an issue at all. But I've gotten questions similar to this before, like saxophone, huh? Interesting choice. And I'm like, it's sick though, right?
I mean, it very much is. Like I said, I wish now that more people would take advantage of this. I mean, for me, like, I always joke with my buddy Paul, who, the guy from Blue Screen. He um, he hates the saxophone a lot, and I showed him
Oh,
some songs.
come on.
Well, I feel like I've tried to change his mind a little bit. I've gotten him
Uh,
into this band called Viagra Boys. Actually, he's the one that brought it to me, and they're like a post punk band from like Switzerland, Sweden, and
mhm.
they have a saxophone in there. I was like, I thought you hated saxophone, and you were telling me you love this song, and it was the song Research Chemicals, which on the back end has this like sick saxophone. And then
Hell yeah.
I showed him James Chance and the Contortions, which has saxophone all over the song. If you don't know James Chance, he's a saxophonist.
Mm.
Uh, and like he tells me he likes that, and then agrees with my statement that the saxophone is the most punk instrument next to the synthesizer.
Okay. Okay.
How do you feel about that? Is that like, do you agree with that?
Um. It's not a bad statement. I don't know if I'd say it's the most punk thing, but it's up there, surely.
All right, so more questions kind of regarding pre-pandemic stuff. Touring and shows. Like I said, I wasn't able to catch you guys perform, and I'm lamenting that, especially now. You seem like such a great guy. I would have like loved to
Oh,
run into you then.
well, thank you.
Like, what was that like? You know, I've never played a show yet. Like, how was that? Like, especially in the beginning parts. I always know that, like, you know, after you've released something and you start playing shows, there's kind of like that. Even when you rehearse, it's much different than like playing in front of an audience. Like, how was that? How'd that go?
Just how was shows?
Yeah, in general, yeah.
Man, honestly, I have probably played some of the best shows of my life when we were doing that. I mean, I've done a fair share of playing around and touring and stuff in other people's bands, and at some point I really just didn't want to like spend any more time doing anything less than what I wanted to do musically, and it's been a lot of hard work, and I've played some like random shows here and there, but like once we got that album out and I was playing in the band with my guys, I mean, those are some of the best shows I've ever played, honestly. I mean, it was just a bunch of fun, you know? I mean, they're super personal and they're pretty like emotionally invoking. A lot of the shows locally, my friend TJ did like liquid lights all over us and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's just been like a really good experience with a lot of really good people. I've really loved the shows. They've been really good. Of course, there's the pandemic, so haven't done any, but we'll get
Right.
there. We'll get there. I'm hoping soon.
Everybody, wear your mask, please.
Yeah, yeah,
Please,
yeah.
and social distance. Just wait. I want shows to come back. I'm craving a live show. Like the last show I got to see, and I'm really wishing like you guys would have been able to get in on this, especially since there have been a variety of circumstances. There was the Rock and Roll Buffet at
What?
yeah, okay, it's called the Rock and Roll
Is there
Buffet.
food?
No, it's like 7 different bands that play in a circle, and like they go off one by one, like right after each other. It was like I think I paid $10 to get in, and it was at Low Key Arts. But we're probably not going to do that next year because we've since sold the building.
That sounds crazy.
It was awesome. It was like I thought there was gonna be like a ton of issues with people getting started, and like some great bands were there,
Just
like
a bunch of
Sleep.
bands in a circle, and they just one song, one song, one song, one song.
Well, it's more like they play a set. So like it was like I
Oh,
want to say like a 10-15 minute set. So they played a couple songs, and then it would be, and our next band is blah 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 blah. And so like Sleepover played, Barra Barra, 2 Arkansas bands. My friend's band Landrest, the same guy who was in Blue Screen. He also plays guitar in Landrest. And then Mindwriter, which is, you should check them out. I think you'd like them. They're like a heavier noise rock kind of group. It's actually led by a bunch of the people that run Low Key, and they're good. I told my buddy Paul aside. I was like, yeah, they got you beat. And so and he was like, I understand. They were pretty sick. They were pretty kick ass. And yeah, man, I really, and that and Valley of the Vapors. Actually, that leads me into my next question. Would you be willing to play it like in Hot Springs at some point? Like,
yeah,
I'll
play anywhere.
Because I know, like, because of like certain venue issues, because of Low Key selling their building. Like, I think the one place you could really play is like Maxine's.
I've heard about Maxine's. I think we talked about playing a show at Maxine's with Couch Jackets at one point in time.
Oh,
Like
that
a
would
year
have been
or so.
sick.
Yeah, but I don't think that ever worked out. Yeah, I mean, I would love to play there. I'm always down with like a house show or whatever too. I mean, it's more about just getting to play and as
Right.
opposed to the plays, you know.
Definitely. So a friend of mine, the same person that actually saw you guys and introduced me to you guys, had a little bit of an audience question. She asked me like if you're willing to share this, you know, you don't have to if you don't want to. What was like your favorite venues to play at, and what were some of your least favorite? If you are comfortable answering that.
In this group or ever?
Ever.
I mean, some of the best ones. I loved playing at Smoke and Barrel, the like local place in Fayetteville, right by my house. I loved Backspace. That's like our little DIY spot. I mean, that's just we're really lucky. We got a lot of good spirits around us. Uh, I don't remember playing an exceptionally bad show because of the venue anyway. I don't have an answer for a bad show, for a bad venue, honestly. I guess that's a good thing. I guess that's a good thing. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I can keep talking about good places I played. I played a house show in Shreveport that was amazing. I don't know. I just like playing, man.
Oh, that's rad. Like I'm
Some of the you know what? There was
Yeah.
this place. It was a house. But they did shows there. I think it was called like Rudy's or something like that in Oklahoma. And that place was freaky, dude. Like like it was like a condemned house, but I guess people lived there.
The hell?
Yeah, and if anybody sees this that knows what I'm talking about, you just know. It's like it's such a trip. And I wouldn't say that was like bad, but I mean like it was definitely like I don't know, it seemed hazardous to your health to be in there.
Like elaborate. Like how so? Like that's just crazy to me.
Like I'm pretty sure it didn't have a front door.
Oh shit. Jesus.
Like I don't know, man. It was just it was a little rough in there.
Are we
But I
talking
mean,
like?
it was still. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, are we talking like potential? It's gonna give you lung cancer later on in life just for playing in there, or like
Yeah,
just
like we're
hazardous?
doing as best as we can.
Man, oh, that sounds fun though. You get to have those kind of experiences.
Yeah, man. I mean, like there's a good amount of people. I think I was playing in a band out of Tulsa called Advocate at the time, and I think Insurgents played. They're like a cool little like metalcore band from Austin. I mean, there was it was still a good show. It was just it was a trippy venue for sure. But that and I played at an abandoned strip club one time. That was weird.
Abandoned strip club. There's got to be some sort of story with that.
I mean, I don't really have much backstory on it. That's just where the show was that night. I was playing with a band out of Texas. It was us. We were called Sound the Ruin, and we were on tour with Kublai Khan. And I think it was in Kansas, and yeah, there was like stripper poles and shit like on like everywhere. Like it'd been out of business for some time, but I guess like the kid who put on the show, his dad owned the building and it still had electricity, so he was like putting on shows there. It was super weird.
It's like man, we don't have any abandoned strip clubs, but we do have an abandoned Sears, and it would be pretty great to have a show at a mall.
Yeah,
Maybe
man.
I'm sure if I can talk them into it, maybe they'll let us host a show there. I'm sure like we can like get together some sort of rental fee or whatever, just here and just host a bunch of bands. That'd be pretty
Make it
sick.
happen. Do it. Be great.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. We're gonna have Outrage hosted shows.
I'm into it.
All right. So I want to move on to Oh, actually, before I move on to the new album, there's a sample at the beginning of Coffins that was like what really sold me on you guys at the beginning, because on my first listen, it's like stood out. Where did that come from?
Are you talking the like?
Yeah.
All right. Well. Okay, so that's actually my little brother's voice.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Was that like just a home recording of some sort?
I like creeped his Facebook and found some like really crappy video he uploaded when he was like 12 or 13, and he's like out in a thunderstorm, and he's like, if I die, I want people to remember me as a crazy, stupid kid. So, yeah.
Wow, I mean, I love
Fit.
that, especially considering what you've told me about the story of that album. Like, I think it just makes it all more real.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely an interesting choice. Thank you for telling me about that. All right, so COVID-19. I'm sure this is the you were waiting for this one. It's affected everybody. I know I've lost a lot in there, and I'm sure you've more than struggled. So like how's that kind of impacted how you've handled your music, especially since you ended up I think you recorded an album in 8 days, which is insane. So like before you recorded that album, how was like life up to that point? Um, if you don't mind me asking.
Um, I mean, I've had my fair share of COVID-19 struggles like everyone else. I've also been super lucky. I haven't suffered too much with work or anything economically like that. So, um, I don't know. I would say I've used COVID-19 to my advantage as much as I possibly can. I've been doing a lot of writing, like lyrically and poetically, I guess, for lack of a better word, writing, and also playing the guitar. Um, also, I started doing things a little bit more solo. The guys I was playing with, that like I mentioned, they wanted to focus more on their other group, and I think they're coming out with a new record pretty soon, which is gonna be one of the coolest, heavier records to come out in a long time. Um, but anyhow, I just really started uh, taking notes on a lot of my influences more, and
Mhm.
um, listening to a lot more oldies because that's what I really like, and that's I don't know. I feel like it'll be a little bit more reflective in my playing from now on. But I also started jamming with Chase, like I said. So we're kind of doing the two-piece thing. Um, I don't know if that's quite answered your question. I feel like I'm kind of rambling.
No. I appreciate it. I'm way okay with you rambling. Like, go on. But I mean, that's interesting. Like back in October when you announced it, I was I was really curious as to like I saw some of the pictures that you had done before, and so good things take time is going to be the name of the new album. I really like that title. Like, how does that affected this? I mean, not affected the sound, but like you know, does would that name come from the pandemic and whatnot?
um, I wouldn't necessarily say it's inspired by the pandemic, but it's definitely some thoughts I've had whilst enduring it. So, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's off the table to be somewhat inspired by that, but I don't know. I've done a lot of enduring personally, trying to grow a lot as a person, and like just trying to fix what I can fix because everything is so crazy and polarized and freaky out there. It seems like that's the only real difference I can make. And I kind of like kept running back to these like little sayings I give myself from time to time, and what I had was good things take time and nothing worth doing is easy. And it seems like when I apply those things to the tasks at hand, they seem a little bit more worth it. So I ended up using that for the title, and I don't know if this is like a good segue or whatever, but more or less with this album and with that title and with the lyrics and everything I put into it, it's really my best effort to put out some good sunshine for everybody, to put out something that can help somehow. So that's pretty much it with that.
Well, I gotta say, I'm still really excited for it, and even more so now, like with talking with you about it. My next question is gonna be, like, what's changed since the first album, and also, like, what have you had to do to accommodate? You were telling me that your friends got a recording spaces that you've been fortunate enough to record in. Like, what steps have you had to take with the pandemic? Has everybody had to wear masks and whatnot, or like, how's that been?
Well, I haven't really been taking my chances too much with COVID. I know some people have been doing some like socially distanced shows and things like that. But I don't really want to get involved. Also, I take care of my grandmother who's elderly and super susceptible with all that. So, I mean, I take necessary precautions when I can. As far as changes from the first album to the second one, I mean, it's still um, primarily my songwriting, but I don't have the band that I had. So there's a lot more solo stuff. And then my buddy Chase, he did all the drums for like the louder songs. It kind of has like a half and half, loud songs and soft songs. I tried to do something as dynamically interesting as the last one while working with kind of whatever I can do.
Right.
So I mean, I would say like I feel like if you know me, it's not that like big of a drastic change, but maybe like as a listener, it's definitely a lot less shoegazy. And it's just a little bit less full bandy, you know, than the last one. I don't have as many bells and whistles. But for me personally, like I really needed this era. Like I've kind of already moved on to a couple other things with Chase and I. Um, we're kind of slowly etching away at the next record, but I don't know, man. I just write songs, you know. So hopefully every record will kind of represent some type of little era and important thing in my life. Like I don't know. It's kind of this funny thing where you try to make it super personal in hopes that it can communicate with other people, you know.
Right. No, I 100% agree there. Um,
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited. Is there? I mean, I know this is. I'm. If you can't talk about this, that's more than okay. But is there a particular date we should look out for, maybe to hear something?
I don't have a date yet.
Ah,
Because well, man,
yeah, I gotcha.
I don't have as many people with me, so like I'm really having to fund this myself. That's why I did the big hustle with the merch and like everything I'm doing. It's like now I'll get the mix paid, and now I'll get the master paid, and then I gotta get this, and then I gotta get that. So I'm really like I wanted it out before the end of the year, just because I felt like it could be a good thing for this year, I guess, for lack of a better word. It was a good thing for me. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, I mean, I
We're
think
halfway through November, so it'll probably be closer to like January or February. If I had to give you a time frame, but I'll do the best I can to like keep everyone updated as best I can and whatever. And I mean, we're homies now, so you can just DM me if you want to bother me anytime.
definitely. I mean, I for sure will. By the way, for those listening, where can we get some of this merch? Just in case we want to support you. I definitely want to support you. Like as soon as I start getting more money, and I keep one of those shirts aside for me, and maybe a CD. Definitely
Okay,
a
so
CD.
I I'm super blessed. I put up a little post about selling merch and sold out entirely except for CDs in like 2 days. So I'm out right now.
Ah,
I'm really just trying to get the record out.
gotcha.
Once the record's out, I'll start like doing some reprints. I'm hoping to do some new designs and stuff like that. So eventually we'll have a lot more prospects, and I'm sure I'll have links to all that on the internet. I'm getting it all out and out there as quick as I can.
You're all good. So I just want to make sure that like people listening, they know like check out Judason Void's Instagram. They've got a Facebook page as well. And yeah, no, please support these guys. I want the second record. As soon as I can get money, I know I will definitely get a CD. I mean, you guys ship, right?
Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that's a long drive.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'll right to your door, homie.
Appreciate it. All right. So a few more questions. Moving forward, I know right now planning shows is a logistical nightmare, and you just don't know what the future holds. But do you have a general idea on how you want to handle that in the future?
Um, I really, um, I really feel like I don't want to play a show until it's okay to play a show,
I
to be
gotcha.
honest with you.
Have you talked
I
with
kind
like
of,
venues about
I
it?
don't really, what?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was gonna say, have you talked to like venues? Did they give you like a good estimate as to like when? I know right now the big thing is like Save Our Stages, which is something that I've personally supported. Like there was
Right. Yeah.
a bootleg T-shirt label. I can't remember their name, and I got to be careful about like too much promo because like we have like different FCC guidelines we have to follow. But like they were doing every shirt, like they did a My Bloody Valentine's Loveless like shirt pressing bootleg, and then they did
Sick.
an Aphex Twin uh, Come to Daddy EP like sweatshirt thing, and like for every like 100% of the profits from those shirts went straight to Save Our Stages. So like
Wow. That's very cool. Yeah. These are hard times, man. It's super
mhm.
sad. I just, health wise, like I said, I take care of my grandma, and I don't know. I just don't really like taking my chances. All this kind of like half normal, half but wear a mask and stand far away from each other thing is weird. I just read like, and I don't know. It's like because it's so weird and awkward, I'd just rather not do it personally. I don't know if this answers your question.
No, I think
I
it's a good
mean,
perspective though.
uh, aside from the album, I mean, we're jumping right in and trying to write the next one. So I mean, as soon as we can play shows, we will. But other than that, like, I'm definitely gonna try to record as much material as I can. I also like want to explore the prospects of doing some more acousticy type things. So I don't know if I could finagle some easy like live stream type thing or not, but I haven't looked too much into that, to be honest with you. If I'm being 100% honest, I'm not super tech savvy. Like, I don't even own a computer. So, like,
It's all good.
yeah, I do the best I can.
Yeah, because I know some local bands have definitely struggled doing live stream. Shout out to Warm Trickle, by the way. They did a show. Oh my god! As much as I love my boy Troy, like it was apparently just it was difficult and like trying to get everything sorted out with like they bought a bunch of cameras and then they did a lot of like weird wireless like connectivity to make sure that like all of their like speakers could be heard and whatnot, and they were having just like issue after issue. Audio and video were desynced, and it's complicated. Like I think the
Yeah.
best way going forward would definitely be to like get a camera and like just record you doing like I think Will Toledo of Car Seat Headrest. That's what he did, especially in the beginning. He would just stream it to YouTube.
Yeah, the dude from Death Cab for Cutie, I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember his name, but he did a bunch of cool stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, in Little Rock, they're doing the virtual festival Mutants of the Monster. That's gonna be really cool. I know like Bones of the Earth, and I think like Wake with Matt Pike or something, and like there's gonna be a bunch of really good bands. Like it's gonna be super good. They're doing like some kind of live stream festival. I know people have been doing a bunch of like crazy recording, finagling to make that happen. I think it's gonna stream on YouTube. And I think that's at the end of the month. Like, so that's one of the coolest like live stream things I've seen. Yeah, I don't know, man. We gotta like get creative in these times, I guess.
For sure. Let's see. Okay, one more question from Carla. And like I reached out to her because she's like I said, big fan of the band, and I was like, "Yo, do you have any questions you want me to ask them?" And she freaked out and sent me a whole list. But this is like another really good one.
Okay.
Is it goes like this. What are some things that you think we could improve on as a local Arkansas scene when it's safe to do shows again? Like we, as in like people that like patrons and like people that go to shows and whatnot.
Interesting.
I know,
Um, so I would say the last few years I've been back, and been a part of shows and been going to shows. Because I go as much as I can as a spectator as well. Um, there's been like more community. and more of just that good vibe that we need as a scene than we've had in a long time. Like, I honestly think we were doing better than we had been in a long time. And really, I think the one thing that any local scene needs is just a sense of community. Like, it's so like lame whenever it's like some stacked bill with 4 or 5 bands and like the only people playing are everybody in the band, and they're like, why do we even do this? It sucks. But they like, them and their friends only come in and watch their band, and then they go outside and smoke and leave, and then the other band and their friends go in and play. Like, or it's about the community, you
Hmm.
know. And I really feel like around here that's been something we've been good at. So I mean, if anything, just keep doing what we're doing, you know, like go be a part of it, you know, go talk to some people, go,
Hmm.
I don't know, be nice, have fun.
I think that's good advice. Everybody needs to be kind. We here on Outrage definitely advocate for kindness. For
Yeah,
sure. Even though it is outrage, this is kind of outrage that's not like, get mad and punch a guy. This is like get hyped and like listen to music, I guess.
yeah, we're all here for a good time, dude. We all got our own trials and tribulations. Like, be nice, have fun, you know, that's it.
Is there anything else that you'd like to like add on that, we haven't got to, or maybe something that I, missed, or like anything you want to say, any other extra comments?
um, Not that I can think of, man. You're putting me on the spot.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I tend to do that. I'm actually
I'm
about to
just
put you on the spot one more time. So
okay.
eventually when this airs on the radio, I actually want to make sure I get some like songs that you listen to. Something that I could like play on the air and whatnot. Free reign, if you tell me anything, let me know.
That I listen to?
Yeah, it's something like, because you're kind of my guest for the show, and I want to make sure that we
Oh
get like
man.
some input from there. And granted, if you were here in Hot Springs, I would have bought you a beer, and like we could have like kicked back and probably just messed around the whole time. But
Well,
we're
we'll
doing this over
definitely make
Zoom.
that happen in the future. Just
Definitely,
saying.
you are
But
always a welcome guest on my show. Just let me know when you're in town.
hell yes. I love it. Okay. I love Neil Young. He's my hero. I love Bob Dylan. I love the Allman Brothers. I love Led Zeppelin. I love Howlin' Wolf. Um, I love Son House, Robert Johnson. I love the Rolling Stones. I love Jimi Hendrix. I love Joe Cocker. I love Janis Joplin. Just play a bunch of classic rock and blues.
Well, definitely, we'll make it happen. That'll be a bit of a change of pace because I had a friend on my guest last week. Um,
Uh,
was my buddy Raymond, and he's big in like hyper pop, which is like super glitchy and bombastic and all over the place. And so it'll be nice to kind of totally just have a different change of pace, especially since the week after this upcoming Wednesday, my friend Grayson is going to come on, and he wants to do a house bit. And so I think
oh,
it'll be definitely nice to have like a sandwich between these two crazy glitchy electronic music. We do like just a classic thing. I love the classics. I grew up on Pink. I have my metal vinyl in the back somewhere. It's like an original pressing. Like I got it at some record store in Illinois. And so I love the classics too. I think one of my favorite decades for music is the 70s. You have especially punk. 70s punk is great. The Stooges, the Damned, the Clash.
I love the Stooges, and I love Iggy Pop.
The man's nuts, but it's great.
I love him. I love him so much. I was just listening to some podcast about him, like No Dogs in Space or something like that.
Oh, dude, I've been
They,
listening to that podcast too.
they're pretty dope. I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
The Ramones one was super good. The Danzig one was good. Yeah, yeah, it's good
Suicide.
stuff. I
Have
haven't
you?
listened to that one. I don't really know them as a band, to be honest with you.
They're okay. So like, Suicide is one of my favorite like early punk bands because they were already doing things like against the norm. Like the New York punk scene was just interesting. Like if you compare it to like other scenes around that time, it was a bit like kind of how our music scene is. Everybody's just being nice and chill to each other. You compare that to LA where everybody's ready to rip each other's throats out. But
Right?
they actually were like seen as the black sheep of the scene because like they used like electronic organs and like they had to pretty much like tweak it all to hell to like get it to actually play something, and it gave them this unique sound. And Alan Vega and Martin Rev were just Alan Vega actually wore like this weird studded jacket that said "suicide" in the back, and he got the crap beat out of him for it. In 1970s New York, which I guess isn't surprising. They'll beat you up for anything. You know, it's kind of not super great.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure CBGB's was like in like the Lower East Side, the super, super bad side of town for a while there.
Yeah.
So the punk scene was right up in Skid Row, essentially.
They got laughed off stage. Suicide did. Like, they got like thrown out of the venue. In fact, they weren't allowed to come back to CBGB's because Alan Vega and Martin Rev were just in there to play pool, and like apparently there was a rule that it's a bullshit rule, but it was you couldn't play pool if you didn't buy a beer. And so they stopped going there, and they only did shows at Max's Kansas City until pretty much, I think, they had one other time when they played at CB's. And then they actually mentioned this all on the podcast too. So definitely check out the Suicide episode. It's one of my favorites. It's like the opposite of the Stooges.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's only why they got 2 episodes out of it.
Maybe.
But man, it was great having you on. You're fantastic. Like I said, anytime you're in town, let me know. Like, we'll hang out
for sure. And I hope we migrate south once all this clears up again. And I hope that happens sooner than later. I would love to be out playing again, man. It's a weird time. It's a weird time, but as soon as I can get down there, I will, and I will let you know. I'm super grateful that you thought of me, man. It's really cool. Thank you.
You're my first like music guest, so like.
Oh, great!
So, like, this is the big deal. Like, you're my first actual interview for the show. And
well, I hope it wasn't too painful for you.
Oh man, it was fantastic. I was a bit nervous that I was gonna be like, oh, this guy's like super unprofessional, blah 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 blah. You know, I'm just kind of like flying off. I'm figuring everything out. You know, I may be a college student, but I do not have a degree in journalism.
Oh no, dude, you're fine. It's all good.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having you on, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day to like talk to me. So,
dude, thank you for having me.
All right, we'll keep in touch, and be sure to tune in Wednesday, 4 to 6.
Woo!
Wednesday, right? Getting kicked up on a Wednesday. But yeah, that's when we're gonna be airing the interview, and dude, can't wait for you to eventually come down here when things are safe.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much.
All right, take care, man.
You too. Later.
Later.